Welcome to Tanked Up, ladies and gentlemen, the podcast all about video games and craft beer. I'm Ben, and this week, once again, I'm joined by Adil Koji.
Hello.
And Lucy Ewart.
Hello.
How are you, Adil? You good?
I'm pretty good, yeah. It's
Excellent.
been a
And you,
good
Lucy?
swath of betas, so it's been fun.
Yes. Things we shall discuss. And you, Lucy? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. Been gaming a lot, so getting rid of that backlog.
Nice. This week we're going to talk about some games we've been playing. We're also going to talk about the topic of refunds and whether games should be able to be refundable and time periods and some such, all based around this controversial No Man's Sky debacle, as we seem to be running into every week with No Man's Sky. Something new seems to kick up. Firstly, beers. We've all managed to get the same beers.
It's almost like we plan these things.
Kind of like yesterday, perhaps. I think probably the first beer we're going to try was Lucy's suggestion, because she had it, if no more than anything else, really, which is the Moor Beer Company.
Hello.
So hop, 4.1%, I believe. Well, I shall allow either of you to describe the beer whilst I get this open.
It is a highly sessionable ultra pale ale, balancing rich British floor malt with tropical southern hemisphere hops. Modestly unreal.
And it is 4.1%.
Nice. I know with the hyphen hops, they're normally a some kind of British part of the beer. I know the Nor hop isn't obviously Northern Hemisphere hops with British malts, but I believe they've got another couple, which I think they. I'm trying to think which one it is now. It's gone from my mind because I might be making it up. Who knows?
I've only seen No Hop and So Hop.
Oh, really?
And No Hop is really nice.
There's at Cork's Cottam, sorry. They've got about 4 or 5 different Moor beers. So
there's plenty of more beers. I meant like the the Eastern, Western hops,
Right.
or whatever you want to call it. I've only seen So Hop and No Hop.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah,
there's
No
an
Hop
East
is
one.
really nice. So I was looking forward to tasting this one.
Smells good. Very citrusy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like a Meyer lemon, like a sweet but tart lemon.
Yeah. It's got a
I'd
nice,
like to know
very light.
which hops are in it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's got a very nice light orangey colour. But hop-wise, I don't believe that Moor have got their hops on the can.
No, they don't.
I would imagine they're either, if it's Southern Hemisphere, perhaps it's either an Australian or New Zealand-based hop.
Like Sogan or something.
Yeah, well, they imported something from Australia. Oh no, that's if they import it to Australia. Never mind, ignore me. It's also unfiltered. It's nice.
Yep.
Yes,
Nice.
and it's to be served at 12 degrees Celsius, ideally.
I didn't bring my thermometer.
I've got mine, but
Oh.
I think it's a lot colder than 12 degrees at this point.
Well, by the time you finish it, you'll have the optimal temperature. It's also
That
got
is very
quite
true.
the frothy head. Like, it's still there. Sort of built maybe an inch and a half of head, and it's not really dissipating. It's like a solid... Oh, well...
Mine's completely gone, almost.
Have you been drinking
Perhaps
it?
it's just the difference in can.
Did you
suppose.
drink from it, though? I haven't drunk from
I
it.
have had a sip, yes.
Anyway, it feels like a very strong, very lot of micro bubble cappuccino foam. It's almost like, and it's only now starting to mix with. Yeah, okay. When I moved it, and the air water barrier broke, and it's starting to die.
Quickly. Yeah. It's got quite a bitter finish, isn't it?
Mm.
Well, the finish is nice. The finish is actually sort of sweet-ish as well.
I'm getting more bitter.
I'm getting both. I'm getting like the standard bitter dryness in the back of my mouth where it usually is, but on the tip of my tongue there was a slight sweetness that sort of came in a couple, maybe 4 seconds after I had finished the sip, and then it slowly went away. But
I can see what you mean with a little bit of sweetness, but that's kind of like very, very right on the front of the tongue almost.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're getting on the tip.
Yeah, and then it just sits as well. That bitter finish is just sort of sat there, and it's got a very long finish, but it's quite dry as well, I think. Normally you associate something with dry with having a very short finish. It disappears quite quickly, but actually this is sticking around for quite a while.
The hop that they used to use is called Ruwaka from New Zealand, but due to limited supplies they no longer use that. They're saying they're using a different Southern Hemisphere hop, but they haven't mentioned which one. So, yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, it could be. I don't think it's like Nelson Sauvin or something like that. Don't know, but yeah, it's not as hoppy as I would have thought.
No. It's apart from that bitter finish, it is quite light. It has got that slight sweetness, a little citrusy kind of flavour, but yeah.
I'm getting Southern like a Hemisphere hops taste as well.
Are called tropical Southern Hemisphere, so maybe it's not from Australia, New Zealand, and it's from somewhere substantially different. I don't know if I've had very many tropical grown based hops, but that might explain why it's got this very interesting finish that we're not used to.
Nice. And you just said, Lucy, you're getting sort of like a straw.
Yeah, sort of hay and strawy. If those are even words, but yeah, sort of. But yeah, the bitter finish it's nice. I think that's what saves it. I mean, the body isn't that hoppy, and could potentially fall quite flat. But I think the bitter finish is what saves it. To be honest, it's a nice beer.
Yeah, I'd agree. But there's not really anything that's like bang, nothing that sort of hits you apart from that bitter finish. But awesome. So we should begin this week, I think, with Lucy. I think Aadil and I kicked off with mobile games last week, so I'm expecting Lucy for you to come in with a full-fledged, right in your face big game.
You see, I could talk about Deus Ex Go, another mobile game, but I mean, quickly, that's if you've ever played a Go game, it's pretty much the same concept, turn-based strategy game. It's really good. I think I prefer Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go more than Deus Ex Go, but what Deus Ex Go has that the other two didn't is the longevity, because it has what they're going to introduce later down the line, player-created levels, like a level editor, so you can make your own levels. So, you should have, well, ideally an infinite amount of levels you can go back to.
An infinite or like 70 quadrillion or whatever? Sorry.
But it's all right. We're going to get onto that later. But anyway, and every day of the week, working days, the developers actually putting up new levels. So you can, I've set a reminder every day to go back into it and do the level, and it's good. It's good. I like the fact that it's going to last a lot longer than Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go did. But the game I wanted to talk about, which it's an indie game. It's not a full-fledged game, but it's a really good indie game, and it's called Hue. Don't know if you two have heard of it.
I have heard of it. I've heard good things as well.
Is this Hue like as in color saturation?
HUE.
It's not some guy.
No, it's not HUGH. No, it's not Hue. But yeah, it came out, I think, this Tuesday, the 30th. So it was yesterday, Yeah, it's really good. It's one of those games that I've had my eye on for like quite some time, and with indie games, they can go, one way or another. You can like the look of it at the start. They go quiet for a few years. It comes back, and it's like it's not what you imagined. But here's something that I had high hopes for it, and it's fully realised those high hopes, and it's basically a puzzle platformer where you have the ability to manipulate the colours in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So you play this little boy called Hugh. Hugh is still spelled H-U.
Oh, okay.
But you play as him, and he's basically got this. Imagine a weapon wheel in any other game.
Right.
So you use the joysticks to select which weapon you want on the weapon wheel, but instead of weapons, it's actually colours of the UV spectrum. You got like
Roy G. Biv.
Yeah, those. For anyone who doesn't know, Richard of York gave Battle in Vain.
What?
Have you ever heard that?
No, I've always heard
Colours
Roy
of the
G.
Rainbow.
Biv. But the problem with Roy is that at some point they just stopped including Indigo.
Yeah.
And then you can't have his name as Roy G. Biv because it's Roy G. Biv.
I have it as Richard of York gave Battle in Vain. That's how I remember it. But the Colours of the Rainbow, they call it like lime and cyan and pink or whatever.
Lime, cyan, pink.
Yeah.
Magenta.
Yeah, they don't use the exact names of the colours. But anyway, you basically select the colour which you want, and it changes the background to that colour. So, say if you've got a ravine to cross and there's nothing there, it's probably because the ravine is coloured blue, and so is the platform. So if you change the background to, say, pink, the blue platform will appear and you can cross it. And that's basically the typical premise, typical twist, the typical mechanic of the game. But it's one of those really good puzzle games that adds a mechanic. Like every time you get a new colour, because you only start off with one and then you gradually ramp up and get new colours along the way. But once you get a new colour, like a new mechanics introduced, like such as lasers or these fountains that paint things a different colour or something like that, and it just keeps adding and layering these mechanics on top of each other, and it's a nice smooth difficulty curve, and it just ramps up to a point where it's not too difficult, but it's like you'll be scratching your head for some time on some of the puzzles, and it's a really good game. It's fantastic. So,
what platforms is it on?
It's on PC, Xbox One, PS4. I think it's coming to Vita. Sometime later this year. Yeah. It's a perfect game for Vita.
Is that what you've been playing on Vita?
No, it's not out on the Vita.
It's not out on Vita yet.
Right,
but
sorry.
that's where I would have wanted to play ideally, but I just played it on the Xbox. So.
Coming soon. Yeah, I'm on their website, hughethegame.com.
Yeah, it's out.
Wow, they've won a lot of awards.
Yeah, I have seen that their Twitter games very good. I have seen them giving out codes to people by putting a little pixelated picture of somebody and saying, "How is this?" It might be a pixelated picture of Hugh Jackman. So, how is this related to Hugh the game? And someone would just answer,
and then you're like, "I don't know Jackman."
Yeah.
And Curve Digital, the publisher, what they've actually done, they've had this on Twitter as well. What they've actually done is they've hidden codes for the game. Like, I think it's Steam codes, because I'm sure this can only be done on PC. But basically, if you turn the background a certain colour, I think it's usually grayscale. You can't usually get that in the game. Then you can see a code written on the background.
Oh, nice.
So
cool.
So interesting. But yeah,
I like the art style.
Oh, it's lovely, because when I started, looking at that game, and I played it at EGX last year as well. It's not something I was more interested in the mechanic, but just looking at it like my big TV, it looks like even like Greek pottery, and it's like, that on all the ceramics and everything. It kind of looks like that. So it's
like a Parthian. That
yeah,
nice
lines.
Yeah.
Although there are some
it's
rounded
almost
bits.
So is it a limited color palette on sort of on each of the levels?
Well, most of it is black, and you're filling in that the rest of the space, the backgrounds with the other color. So really, the background can only be one color at one time. So everything in like the foreground and everything like the environment and things in the environment, they're painted in black. So that's why it looks like like as you said, Apotheon, which is a beautiful game as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Nice. That sounds. Yeah, it just sounds really good. Is it a short game?
It took me about 3-4 hours.
Okay.
But there's collectibles that you can. It's sort of Metroidvania in the sense that once you've acquired certain colours, you can go back into the levels and find these hidden places. So say if in one level there's a yellow barrier blocking something and I don't have yellow at that point, I can go back once I've got yellow and then get the collectible.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah. That'll add like probably another hour.
So you don't get the full palette. That's sort of one of the ways.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Content.
Yeah.
Or I should say drips.
That would have been good. Awesome.
I'll just edit that in.
Well, yeah, do it. Let's move on to Aadil. What have you been playing this week?
This week I played the Titanfall 2 beta on the Xbone with some fellow Out of Lives characters. And we also played some Rainbow Six Siege that night, and we also had fair feed beers. And it was a lovely night of gaming that I haven't had in a long while, actually.
Nice, man. Nice.
We stayed in our party chat and didn't so there was 4 of us on a 5-man team basically, and we just didn't let the other person in. We didn't go to group chat ever, so we're doing all this coordinated shit, and then they're just like, "Hello, I'm so lonely," and I was like, "Oh, we're those people," because usually I'm by myself, and I'm that guy. But Titanfall 2 that made me want the game more than when I started the beta.
Okay.
I like
because a lot of people have the opposite opinion to that. So I've heard. So that's good.
I haven't played Titanfall 1 very much recently.
Yeah.
My biggest complaint was the Titans feel kind of sluggish. That I don't remember. But I'm gonna have to load up Titanfall to see if it's just the fact that I played it on PC. Titanfall 1, and the PC wasn't available for the beta, so I downloaded it on the Xbox. And it might just be that I'm garbage with Xbox controllers, which is true, and that's why it felt sluggish.
It might be a little bit of sort of expectation as well. You kind of imagine Titanfall to be a very fast-paced game, so when you get into it, the way that you've remembered the first game as being this really quick, very sort of vertical parkour type game with then the Titans, which can dash and move about quite relatively swiftly, obviously not as swiftly as somebody on foot, but swiftly enough that you get into the second one and you've kind of got that expectation that it's going to be quicker than it actually is.
Go on.
I was going to say I played it as well, and I'd not played Titanfall, being primarily a PlayStation person. No, not a PlayStation person. You know what I mean?
A Sony pony.
Yes, exactly. So I didn't really know what to expect from the speed of the game, except that it was going to be a little swifter than a standard sort of first-person shooter.
It's actually more Twitch in number 2 than number 1, I think.
Yeah?
Sorry to interrupt, but I did, so I'll continue.
Yeah, man.
I think some of the complaints I've heard are that it's more Call of Duty-esque, and
Yeah,
I didn't
that's how I
mind
felt. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind the speed. What I didn't like was the fact that and again, because it's an open beta and no one had played it before except for the week before, or unless they were in closed beta. But there was almost no coordination. Like, it was very much. So for those of you who don't know, the main play style is Bounty Hunter, where you the sides are competing for collecting bounties by killing the AI mobs and the other team, and then after each wave of AI, the banks open, and you have to run to the 2 spots on the map where there are banks and deposit the money. And if you get killed, you lose half your money. But because of that, like, my personal bounty doesn't matter as much as my team's bounty, because that's how we win. But no one was helping anyone else out. There was no sort of team play, which just reminded me of the few times I've played COD games of recent years. Just that mad dash to pew pew pew. But the baseline mechanics I really like, and I think I'm hoping that will be. I mean, if you can find the right team, or maybe people will sort of settle out, and once they understand the game, that there'll be more planning.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I found that as well. That it's almost like the Division as well. That it was okay as a single player experience as such. You know, like with Titanfall, like COD, that you're just running around this map and picking people off, getting into your own little skirmishes with other players and stuff. But actually, if you were part of a team, that it would be a much better experience.
You see, I played Titanfall 1 for 200 hours. And just like, I loved that game.
Nice.
And
how many people did you play it with?
I usually played. In fact, I don't think I ever played with anybody else.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Running gunner. I think the one time I played with the Out of Lives crew, and that was, this was probably a year and a half after the game came out or something like that. So, I like that fast-paced running, gunning, and everything, and that's because that's how I play in Call of Duty as well. But the thing with Titanfall 1 was that I preferred over Call of Duty, because I've never really got into a Call of Duty multiplayer since Black Ops, and after Titanfall, it was like, this is what I want from my shooters. Even though it's faster gameplay, you don't have to be, you don't have to be that skilled at the game. It's more in line with like Battlefront or something like that. It's more for it felt like it was more for casual gamers, and I think that's why the hardcore fell off quicker than anybody else, and why everyone was saying, no, it's bare bones, this and that, and it's like no one heard about it 3 months after it came out. But the thing is, when I played the Titanfall 2 beta, fair enough, I didn't play too much of it. Hopefully when it comes to EA Access, I'll get a better idea if I actually want the game. It just felt like it was going for a more hardcore audience. Like, even simple things like putting in more loadouts, and putting in loadouts that you have to unlock over time, making it so that your Titan isn't on a 2-minute timer like it always was in the first one, making it so that you have to actually earn the Titan to get it quicker and stuff like that. Like, the first time I played it, just getting used to playing Titanfall again, I didn't get a Titan until like maybe near the end, and it's like it just didn't feel like Titanfall. And I don't know, I mean, like, it's with the single player as well. It's like, I never wanted a single player from that game. I love single player games, and I'm mainly a single player kind of person, but it's like, why split? Because I know it's only a small team, Respawn, it's not a huge team, it's not a, sort of Treyarch sort of size. It's like, why split your time doing that?
Because they got burned so hard.
They're
the first FPS to eschew stupid campaigns, and they got burned so hard
Yeah.
That I think they were just like, well, let's just make one, and even if people don't play it, that's one thing we know we're not going to get burned on.
But it feels like splitting their time, splitting the teams between single player and multiplayer, that seems to have had an effect, because the fallout from the first test, I don't know what the general consensus is on the second test, but the first week, people were like up in arms saying that this isn't Titanfall, and it just seems like, yeah, they put a lot into the multiplayer, they put new mechanics in, they put, new guns in, this and that, but you've got to balance it, and it just feels like that could be lacking by the time it comes out. I hope not, and I hope they get it, sorted and make it feel like the Titanfall of old or whatever, but I don't know, I'm not convinced on it yet.
Yeah, I definitely noticed the difference between the 2 weekends. You saying about there being in the first game about there being a timer on when you can earn your Titan, and in this one, for the first weekend at least, you had to get it through kills or objective scores. Whereas I think on the second weekend they did bring in that timed element as well, didn't they?
It's a long timer that it's so long that you're not likely to get a Titan if you just stand there. But if you kill a few grunts and manage to be around a kill, like, you'll get a Titan eventually.
Yeah, and it just maybe stops you having to get maybe 2 additional kills than you would have to, or something like that. Just sped it up a little bit. And I know they increased the dash of the Titan as well, so the Titan was moved a little bit quicker, and they tweaked a few little things.
Which is what the tech test is for. So, and it's good that they responded so quickly as well. So
completely, and that's what I was going to say. Even though with the size of Respawn, they were quick at getting on it and actually updating the game to give given feedback to make it how sort of that outspoken section of the fans were. And ultimately, the people that are outspoken are going to be the people that want to buy your game as well. If someone's coming up to you saying, well, this isn't the kind of game, this isn't what I remember Titanfall to be, it's not quite what I was expecting, that person's probably going to buy it more than I was going to before I downloaded the tech test almost in passing. Saw a tweet saying, it's the tech test this weekend. I thought, okay, I'll give that a go. I've not played Titanfall. I'll see what it's like. So I'm sort of not the kind of person they're going to listen to in comparison to someone that goes, where?
I do think that, as you said there, Lucy, with the balancing, the biggest problem with the way they dole out Titans is the fact that they're going to have to be really good at matchmaking, because if you have a stacked team versus a less good team, they're all going to get Titans within the first few minutes, because they're just gonna kill enough things. Yeah,
because that's the thing with, like, on the first Titanfall, you had like burn cards, which were then, if you don't know, they're just basically you selected 3 before the match started, and they gave you like certain buffs or certain perks. So you could say get a Titan straight away, or I don't know, have a more amped up weapon for before you die, etc. So with all those sort of
the balance of
variables, I mean, they managed to do it. So it's like, if they can manage to do it with thousands of variables with those things and still made it feel fair for everyone, it just concerns me, the fact that they kind of didn't get it right the first time in this tech test. But as I say, I mean, if the multiplayer is on EA Access, that will probably make up my mind whether I'm going to buy it or not, because prior to the tech test I was like, I'm going to buy Titanfall 2, make sure it's not broken or buggy or something. Like, once the reviews come out, probably get it, because support the developer and everything. But now I'm less convinced, and I probably won't get it near launch. It's like
will it come out on EA Access close to launch, or is that normally a bit of a delay?
No, usually we get it like a week early or something like that, and
you have like a limited number of hours to play.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it might be the single player that they give for free rather than multiplayer. I don't know, but I'm sure with Battlefront they did multiplayer. You could do that. Well, it's only multiplayer, I guess. So
they might do those fake scenarios that you could do by yourself.
Yeah, but they that's kind of with Battlefront. That's the problem with it, though. They kind of tacked on this not single player, but single player kind
they
of
called
elements.
it like a co-op multiplayer.
Yeah, and you could play it more local co-op and stuff, couldn't you? So, yeah, but hopefully, at least for you, Lucy, it comes out that the multiplayer element is that free element with the, I say free, with the EA Access subscription, which again might bring a lot more people to buy the full game. You know, if they've got 10, 15 hours to be able to play the multiplayer and sink that amount of time in, then that's, you know, X number of copies additionally sold, isn't it? So it seems, and I would imagine that the multiplayer would sell the game more than the single player.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
So it would seem crazy for them not to put the multiplayer on. Put the single player on over the multiplayer as such.
Yeah, I hope so.
Good. How are we doing with beers?
I think I was going to suggest we crack into the second one as soon as possible.
Go for it.
Nice. So, you've heard us talk about this beer, I think, in the last couple of episodes. And this is the Cloudwater Double IPA version 6. It is I was going to say it's an event beer, but it's not. It's like a special edition beer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The version 6 and the version 7 were crafted by Cloudwater out of their double IPA versions 4 and 5. They sold the 4 and 5 as a twin pack and asked people to drink both beers or make up different combinations of those beers. You know, whether you wanted 50% 50% 4, 50% of 5, or differing combinations of those, and took feedback on what people wanted. And out of that came the version 6 and version 7. Now, I've seen the version 6 around, but I've never seen a version 7 around.
Neither have I. They were all sold out wherever I looked, so very popular.
So it gives you a little bit of amble about what is in the beer, and it says 20% dry hops added towards the end of fermentation, 40% 3 days into conditioning, and 40% 3 days before crash cooling. Brewed with WLP 4000, which I don't know what that is.
Oh, it means a robot did it.
Did it?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that sort of technical stuff. When they talk about the gravity and stuff like that, it's like, why are you on about? Just give me the beer. Just let me drink it.
It's a hefty 9%. And did you mention the Pilgrim Alpha CO2 extract? Because that's a thing I don't know what that is.
No, I didn't. I didn't mention that one. Again, that's another item that sort of went over my head, so I thought I wouldn't mention it, just in case. I think both of these beers, I don't know what it is. Maybe both of them have got the Moor and this Cloudwater. Both have yellow streaks in their label. Apart from that, they're just white and black.
Silver
on the label. So it kind of almost makes them appear as if they should be quite sort of summery beers, almost that colouring and branding on
the nose hits you as you pour.
Yeah,
quite fragrant.
What are you getting in the nose?
Well, just off the pour, it's some sort of tropical fruit. Let me actually smell it.
I'm getting a bit of rhubarb.
Mango.
Slightly.
There's definitely mango. There's that sweetness of a mango.
Rhubarb.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of tanginess, a bit of rhubarb.
Yeah, totally.
And I had a bit of pineapple as well.
Oh, maybe that's what. Yeah, it's pineapple or mango. I think that's sweet tropical.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
Yeah, it tastes like. It smells like. To me, it's like a very, very ripe mango.
Yeah.
That you have in the country where mangoes are grown. So there's no it's a ridiculously tasty ripe mango versus the stuff you get in the store, which has been frozen. Blah 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 blah.
I think tasting it, slightly syrupy. You're not getting that. It doesn't feel like 9%.
Oh wow! I immediately know what you mean by syrupy.
Yeah, it's a bit thick and heavy, but not
alcoholic.
Yeah, not to an outrageous extent, and you can't tell that it's 9% at all.
No,
it has. You can taste the alcohol a little bit, but if someone gave this to you, you wouldn't say it's 9, maybe 6 at most.
I was going to say 6, 8. Double area.
Yeah, I mean, I went out over the bank holiday weekend and went into a Brewdog and had a albino squid assassin, which is a beer I've had before, which is really nice. But this one had been barrel aged in a whiskey barrel.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, about 9.2%.
Oh, wow.
And you could instantly taste the alcohol.
Yeah.
That was a really sweet, almost kind of, has almost kind of like a porty kind of flavouring to it, which I think is what the whiskey gives with the beer. But yeah, you as soon as you, even on the nose, you were sort of almost hit by the alcohol in that beer. It was nice, but that's the kind of beer that you can definitely only drink maybe one of, unless you're a lot more hardcore than I am. Whereas this double IPA, it's very smooth, and as you were saying, you don't quite get that alcohol. There's a tiny bit there, but it doesn't cut through the flavour that much at all.
Yeah, it's not harsh at all.
No, and I think, well, we'll see what I feel like at the end of this one, whether I can have another one. But already, as a very similar percentage beer to the albino squid assassin, it's definitely a little more palatable almost.
Yeah. I mean, I like beers that can, just naturally be this sort of ABV. The ones that are striving to be like 14% and stuff like that, and there's nothing in it apart from like harshness, and it's like there's no point to it, there's no depth, there's no balance to it. Then
you're just trying to prove some stupid point to
exactly.
No one in particular.
Yeah. Whereas like mentioning Brewdog, their hardcore IPA, I think that's around 9.2 as well, and it's like that doesn't taste like a 9.2, and it's got. I think once it's crosses a threshold of too alcoholic, you're not going to be able to have any depth, or you're not going to be able to taste like the complexity of it. So, but something like this, it's strange. This Cloudwater, and it's quite unique, and I can see why they've been flying off the shelves. Not just because they're limited release, but it's quite a nice beer, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I'm drinking this.
I think I need to. I think there's a slight correction. I think a couple of episodes ago I said they were only making 480 bottles. I think I misread, and they're actually made 480 litres. I think, which is about 3 times the amount of bottles than I suggested. So you're looking something a little closer to the region of 1,400 bottles, aren't you? So a little bit more than I first thought. But that number was correct. Just the units was incorrect. Yeah. So, which is probably why we're seeing it quite a lot. Sorry, Lucy?
It just doesn't taste like beer to me. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's a bit like kids' medicine, but that syrupiness. It's strange, but
it does have a slightly odder texture than like the Moor just before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But it's nice. I'm enjoying this.
It's got a lovely. It has mostly just a sweet aftertaste, a slight hint of bitterness, but other than that, it's also very short as a finish compared to the Moor.
Yes,
it's just sort of sat there. Again, not a bad thing. It's just they're very different beers, and they look really similar too. Both had sort of fairly robust heads. This one's a bit more orangey, and
slightly
a bit more opaque. But other than that, they're very, very similar looking beers that taste nothing alike, which is always a good thing. You're reminded how wide the spectrum is. Yeah,
definitely. So I won't talk about a game because the game I've been playing mostly is Titanfall 2, which we've already discussed. I have started to play the Battlefield 1 awful title, but I've started playing the Battlefield 1 beta, which is it's first-person shooter, but it's very different to Titanfall. I've only played a couple of games, so I'll have a better idea of what to talk about with it in the next episode, possibly. So I think we should move on to our topic, because I've also been playing a little bit more No Man's Sky.
Heresy.
And it's come under a little bit more controversy, based around the idea of refunds. I believe that Steam will refund you a game if you have played less than 2 hours of it. And I think that's any game, isn't it? I think that's their standard refunds policy. However, there came out that Steam were refunding anybody for No Man's Sky for any amount of time that they had been playing, which I believe now has turned out to be incorrect.
There were definitely people who reported that they had played 12 hours and got a refund.
But I think there had to be some kind of reason as to why you could get the refund for it. It wasn't just, I played this game and I dislike it, I demand a refund. So I thought that we can discuss refunds in general, whether we think refunds are a good thing for games. As you know, with a lot of items that you purchase, you can take them back to get a refund. Normally, if you haven't used them in any way, or for clothing, if you haven't worn it, you can take it back and be able to get a refund. With games, it's a little bit different, especially with a lot of people who've been playing No Man's Sky for an extended period of time. So first, Lucy, do you think refunding games is a good idea?
Yes. If something is, just completely broken in its state and it's unplayable, then of course. I mean, this gets into a whole different argument about why you shouldn't pre-order games, but I won't have a go, we'll save that for another conversation.
I have seen you posting furiously in various groups
just
about
ranting about it, It's like, just don't pre-order games, but another topic. But if something's broken, then of course you can, because anything else, if it was a DVD, let's say, and you can't play it, you can't watch the film, then of course you should get a refund.
Yeah, like if you bought the Blu-ray of Bad Boys 2 and you took it home, so obviously we're in
film.
Yeah, we're in the early 2000s, obviously, in this example. And then you took it home and it didn't work in your player because, you're one of those 4 people who bought HD DVD. And you took it back to Walmart, and they'd be like, and you're like, this is the wrong format. And they'd be like, okay, well, sure. We'll give you store credit because you opened it, you dick.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, that makes sense, right? And like when you go to physical objects, if you can return like a vacuum cleaner when it's opened, as long as it's not maligned because it didn't do what you wanted to do, that makes sense. That's a different story from system, I didn't like it.
Yeah. I think any system, whatever it is, people always find a way to exploit it, which is what you're going to talk about now. So it's like, you can have something that, a refund system that's there for the purpose of refund because something doesn't work. But people are always going to exploit these things. And as you say, it's wrong that people should request a refund just because they don't like it.
Yeah, I think with No Man's Sky specifically, people are saying, well, it's with Sean Murray saying that there was a little element of multiplayer and all of this sort of thing, that they're saying, well, the game doesn't live up to the hype and the expectation. Possibly the some of the things that the developer has said. However, that doesn't mean that it's broken. That doesn't mean that you have been sold a product which doesn't work.
Yeah.
It works perfectly fine and works really in the way that any other computer game works. Okay, there's a couple of bugs and a couple of glitches, but that's standard with a lot of games that we get these days. It's not, I can understand if people want to refund it, if it is unplayable, you get into your ship and it glitches through the world and suddenly you're stuck in the center of a planet burning in the molten core.
That sounds cool.
And you can never, that does sound cool, but then you can never escape and never experience the rest of the game. That would be broken. And as such, yes, I agree that you could look to get a refund for your purchase. And that would be, is there a time limit on that? I'm not sure. Would I say if that happens to you after the first hour, you get a refund? Yes. If that happens to you 8 hours in, difficult. You've spent some time on it. You've probably got to start again.
So No Man's Sky is interesting because you can't revert to a saved game state. So although you're playing by yourself, you're playing in this shared universe. Because I was going to say, because if you hit like a glitch in a mission, where you do the specific thing and you're screwed, and now all your progress is gone. Well, you had the option to do multiple saves, which I do. I alternate 2 save files almost all the time.
Yeah.
Because I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on you in the sense of sometimes we know these things happen. I don't think that gives the developer an excuse not to fix bugs, but we know some get through, and that's just tough titties.
Yeah. The thing is with No Man's Sky, I mean, it sold extraordinarily well. I think the number of people requesting refunds is probably quite minuscule. And for some, with a publisher like Sony backing it, I mean, if it's a case where it's too hard, because as you say, if it's 8 hours in, but you get a game-breaking bug, then I think, yeah, why not? You should be entitled to get a refund, even if you play eight hours. It's meant to be a 40-hour game, let's say. It's like, you've only got a fifth of what you were entitled to, so you should be able to get a refund. I think what's worse is for, like, all these Steam games, which is like, well, there's these indies, like, on Steam, and it's like, people ask for refunds because it's like, oh, this is a walking simulator, oh, this isn't good, etc., etc., I don't like it. But at the same time, there are, people releasing games on Steam which are, intentionally broken, and they just want money for it, and it's like, no one's vetted this, so it's like, it's such a hard system, and it's such a hard thing to...
I think what you're trying to say is there's cunts on both sides, and everyone else suffers.
Yeah. People that exploit everything, like Steam, great platform, you can put your game on there. There's idiots who are going to put, like, whatever they want on there. Same as, you get a refund because the game's broken. Idiots are going to be like, oh, I don't like it, and they're going to ask for a refund, so... You're screwed either way, basically. Not to
I understand.
Put a on the topic, but, it's just... What are you going to do?
I understand why Steam has their 2-hour baseline policy, because they can't chase down all these requests, and it's going to cost. Honestly, it's just going to cost them more money trying to manage that versus saying this is the cutoff. But it like you said, it does mean that there's this sort of cadre of entitled gamers who, play 10 minutes, don't like it, ask for a refund all the time. And I understand that they do some monitoring of that, but I don't know how much effort is put in to track sort of habitual refunders.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never looked into it, so I can't...
I've actually never refunded a game.
It, but I can imagine that there are a subsect of gamers who purchase a game on Steam, and then a couple of hours after they've played it, they've gone, no, this isn't for me, I'll refund it, and who do that on a monthly or on a regular enough basis to sort of get past the Steam police as such, saying you do this far too often. And people will always game the system.
Yeah, but that's fine. So I think it's the baseline policy is what we have to sort of approve of, or like that should be what's discussed. Like you and Lucy have said, like, no matter what you do, there will be ways to circumvent a rule. There will be loopholes. But is the baseline policy fair to the masses without, like, being so obviously exploitable? I think that's. Go on.
I think there's a lot fewer people asking for refunds than you'd imagine, even with No Man's Sky. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see what the actual stats are, because again, this is the vocal echo chamber of the internet.
Exactly.
Hilariously, the thing that made the hype ruin the game, or at least change what people thought the game was. Although again, I'm not going to get into it, but Sean Murray clearly at some point could have said it's not quite like that. But that same echo chamber is what's causing all this fuss. Hilariously, they didn't learn their lesson, really. Like, oh, maybe we shouldn't just assume the world is exactly what we like. Or like this mob mentality thing of like, well, and if enough of us hate it, then you should change it, which I mentioned on Out of the Crossfire. But that was Mass Effect 3. I wish they didn't change their ending.
Yeah.
Like, point of principle versus point of plot versus point of experience. I feel like that was a sort of landmark shift in these rabid groups of just
completely
whining as
definitely.
much as they can. And I think that's because it worked once. It's like letting my cats in when they bang on the door, and at nighttime. All they know is I banged at the door and you opened the door, even if I'm yelling at them. And they'll try that for weeks until they're like, oh, I guess that doesn't work, because they've got brains the size of peaches. No, not even a peach. But you know what I mean, like
A kiwi.
Look, New Zealanders aren't that dumb.
So I suppose just to sort of round up the conversation, I'd mentioned earlier that, or Lucy had mentioned earlier that Respawn had listened to the fans after the first stress test weekend and had changed a few things within the second weekend. So, do you think if people had then purchased Titanfall, if these things hadn't been changed and there hadn't been a second weekend, people had then gone on to purchase the game, do you think they would have been entitled to a refund by saying, this isn't the same, or it isn't what my expectation of the second game should be based upon the first game?
No, because when I walk into a Burger King and I see this massive, Whopper on its, above the till, and I expect, it's going to be huge, and I get something that's a third of the size. It's like,
it's advertising.
Yeah, it's advertising, and it's if you fall for the advertising, you should always be wary. Always, have your wits about you. If anything, whatever you buy, research it. It's like that's why I don't understand the pre-order culture, because no other medium or anywhere else in any industry you can pre-order things. So, and the thing with like games, I mean, it brought it home to me even more when you said like people expect games to be buggy, and they expect games to maybe not work all the time. So it's like if something like that you wouldn't pre-order. It's like you could pre-order a chair, let's say that's IKEA special release, a chair's coming out, pre-order it, yeah. And it's like you expect a chair to work. You don't. It's like that will work 100% of the time.
But if it's significantly different color than their press release said, you could immediately give it back to them and ask for a refund, and that makes sense.
But what if your monitor's not calibrated to the same color calibration as their monitor?
That's no. I said sufficiently.
Okay.
That's very true.
I'm not talking about like a.
It's quite clearly cyan, and I thought it was meant to be turquoise.
I did. I used the dropper in Photoshop, and it's clearly a hash 5005012. But when I got it, it was a hash 5005013.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see, that's very black and white. Like black and white. Sorry. It's going to be. Yeah, if it's advertised as a different colour, then fair enough. But it's like even movies, like when they advertise it and make out, it's cool. It's like it's bombastic, but they've shown everything in the trailer. That's still in the movie, so it's like
there was a wonderful Reddit thread.
Just even if you love a developer, just don't trust them. It's like No Man's Sky. It's like Joe Danger. People probably never even heard of Joe Danger, let alone played it, or Hello Games. So I don't know why people were so quick to pre-order something where the developer just doesn't have a pedigree for something on the scale that No Man's Sky was supposed to be. So it's like, just don't pre-order, and you won't have to ask for a refund because you won't buy it in the first place.
Yeah. So tune in next week when we'll clearly be talking about pre-order culture.
God,
I will say,
I need to get it off my chest.
I have to say two things. One, there's this. I wish I knew more information, but there's this lovely Reddit thread about a guy who was saying that his brother was a lawyer, and they were going to sue Warner Brothers, etc., because Suicide Squad was so shitty.
I did see that one.
And I feel like that encapsulates this idiotic version of culture where I made a story up in my head, and I didn't like the story that was being made and presented, so fuck you. I need all of the things. And the other thing I was going to say is just Sony used to be just known for giving pre-rendered cutscenes as their trailers and E3s, etc., and it not actually being gameplay video. When you got the game, it was still pretty, but nowhere near those initial trailers. And that was a running joke for years.
Yeah,
but no one was like, well, you gave this trailer out in 1999, and here's 2001. It doesn't look like that at all. I want my money back.
Yeah. I think, with the dawn of the internet and people sharing ideas, everyone's just become more entitled. Yeah, I remember when I bought Spyro Year of the Dragon and it didn't work. Never did I think of asking for a refund, though, so... Yeah.
The other thing is, with digital downloads and Steam, there's sort of a person you can badger to get your money back. But, like, you couldn't go to Game or EB Games or GameStop as easily and be like, I don't like this game.
No, completely.
I think that's a good barometer. If you think it would be impossible, not a struggle, but impossible to get a refund if you went to the brick and mortar version, you shouldn't be asking for a refund.
It's quite easy, actually. All you do is say, I bought it for somebody's birthday or Christmas or something.
If you think it would be impossible without lying,
and then your refund. Simple. I've done that so many times.
So you've got to lie to get your refund.
Oh, but we've all done it.
We'll leave it on that dishonest note.
Where we have Lucy's Con Artist segment. The con of the week is...
What has been your favourite beer? Aadil?
The Moor, I think.
Yeah?
I like the Cloudwater, but I'm just going to repeat Lucy's statements. It's syrupy and interesting, and I like the taste a lot, but I would never reach for it if I was like, I want a beer. If I want a tasty beverage, go for it. But it's just so different that my beer of the week is the Moor. Also, I think overall, except for the syrupiness and the sort of tropical fruitness, I didn't actually find it that deep. There wasn't a lot in the flavor outside of that. And with this very short finish, it was sort of like, well, I'm just drinking this really fast. Well, when we said we should move on to the Cloudwater with the Moor, I noticed that Lucy wasn't done. I had a little bit left. I didn't quite see what you had, but we were clearly just sort of enjoying the beer at our own pace. Yeah. And I think that speaks volumes to the Moor's to Sohop. Yeah.
Nice. Lucy?
I'm quite torn, to be honest.
I think the term is you are Natalie Imbruglia.
Yes. I like that song. But anyway, I'm torn because the Cloudwater, as you say, Aadil, it's like it ticks all the boxes in terms of uniqueness and just novelty, but it's quite smooth and it's quite syrupy. If I wanted a nice, refreshing beer, I'd pick the Sohop. But that being said, instead of the Sohop, pick the No Hop because that's better.
I haven't had it yet.
Northern Hemisphere were better than the Southern Hemisphere, obviously. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Aadil because I think you're right. I think as a beer that I would go for, that I'd go for the Sohop over the Cloudwater, I believe, if I was out and saw both of them. But I'm also going to agree with Lucy, and the No Hop is a very, very good beer.
So perhaps we should get the No Hop for in the coming weeks, because I don't think we've done it on camera, and I haven't had it.
So that would be new. Yes.
Yep.
Definitely. Good. So for another week, we haven't quite been as tanked up as we usually get because we've only done 2 beers. But if you'd like to talk to us about those beers, you can do so on the internet. We are at _cast.
On the internet? What are you, 65?
On the internet.
I feel 65. I feel old this week, man. I feel old. Yes, you can do so on Twitter at tankedup_cast. You can email us tankedup@tankedup@gmail.com. If you want to hit up Aadil, how do you do so, sir?
You can find me on Twitter, Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, at the Omniarch, TheOmniarch.
Nice. And Lucy, how do we get hold of you?
On Steam, Xbox, PS4, it's Juicy Loose. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am beerisitible_. That's for my beer website called beerisitible.com, where I might have a review of this Cloudwater on there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I'm looking forward to that. I think you should.
Yeah.
It's so unique that. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And if you'd like to talk to me, I'm at Nova_47 on most of the things. For another week, we have been slightly tanked up. Thanks for listening.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
Were you
I
expecting me
don't
to
even say
goodbye?
bye normally. You frozen on Skype. That's why I'm totally confused. I just was staring at your face, and it was like nothing's happening. So up.